Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Studio Z. So today, I think I have a really good one, a really interesting one. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. As you can tell, I've got a huge block of wood here that I'm gonna be carving. And no, don't worry, it's not another bowl. But this time, today, I'm gonna be carving a mountain. That's right, in particular, I'm gonna be carving Mount Rainier out in Washington, which is the tallest mountain in the continental United States. It's just over 14,000 feet in elevation. And the reason I decided to do this today is because the software for 3D terrain has gotten much, much better. If you recall, this is one of my old videos that I did. And this was, out in Colorado, an area in the ski resorts that I had done a terrain map of. And you can see I had to exaggerate this one to get it to, come out like this. And now, imagine we're gonna be going from something like that to something this big. So that's how much the software has changed. We've gotten in much closer, much more detail. It's really, really gonna be cool. I can't wait to see how this one comes out. And at the end, I'm gonna be comparing the carvings between the new one and the old one, and we'll get to see the differences. All right, so let me now take you into the software, the new software for the 3D terrain. We'll take a look at it and see what makes it different. All right, so I'm here in topomiller.com/generate. And this is the new software that is really incredible. And this is the basic page that you'll get when you first come on, and you'll have the map here. I can zoom out. I've already zoomed in on Washington because that's what I'm working on, and specifically Mount Rainier is what I'm carving right here. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see all of the carving settings, and if you click on the question mark here, it'll take you to a different page. And this has got a lot of information on it to inform you on how to use the site, the settings. It'll explain all of the settings that you see there on the left, how they work, what you might want to use them for, and so on and so forth. I'm not an expert yet on this software. I'm still learning it, but it's pretty easy to use and very self-explanatory. It walks you through everything. There's a tab here specifically just on how to use topomiller. So you can just follow the directions here. And again, really, really simple stuff. It even explains to you the coverage map globally and in the United States. Currently in the United States, the ultra high resolution, as it states here, of 1 meter to 10 meter is about 70 to 80% of the United States, and they expect to have 100% by 2028. So that's really worth noting. And it's also shown in the map. You'll notice that when you zoom in on something, it'll have a certain texture to tell you which resolution it is that it has. And it'll also come up on the sidebar there in the settings. It'll either tell you that you can't or you can use a certain 1 meter, 10 meter, or it'll be 30. So there are also video tutorials that'll help you go through all of this stuff. It's really fantastic. It's a great software to use for 3D terrain mapping. All right, so now that you've seen the help page that will walk you through it, I'm just gonna quickly go through what I did here. And you have two choices. You can do fit to size for the scale mode, or you can do true scale. True scale is if you really want an accurate terrain map that you're going to use for scientific data or something like that, and it must be precise and accurate. So you would use that. Whereas you can also do fit to size, where you can exaggerate things a little bit, make them taller, less pronounced, whatever it is that you are looking for. So what I did here, and again, I'm just going to use an aspect ratio of square of 1:1, a base thickness for my base material of 5 millimeters. That is like a medium base for the bottom of your carving so that you'll have a nice, relatively thick base for support. And my longest dimension on my target size here is going to be 100 millimeters. You can correct that in Vectric, so it's not a really big deal. And then we'll get to the data source in a second. I have it set on auto, but we can also change that once we create the square. So I'm just going to hold the control key and create my square, my area here. And once you've made it, you can move it around. It's not a big deal. And now, based on the size of this square, it will dictate what data source you can pull up. And as you can see here, when I click on it, the 1 meter is not possible because the region that I've selected with the square is too large, so it won't allow that to happen. So I used the 10 meter. And once you click on that, it'll start to generate a preview of that area that you've just highlighted. And I went back and I looked at photos of Mount Rainier, and you can see how it's pretty, let's say, flat. Not flat, but it's very low. And what I did was, that's not an accurate representation of it. I went with 1.5 for the relief height, and it looked to me, when I compared it to photos, it looked very realistic as to what it actually looked like. So let me just show you that. And so this is what it actually looked like in photos when I pulled it up. And that's what I will be using for my carving. So now, once you have generated this 3D preview and you're satisfied with it, you just scroll down here and I click on the STL 3D model, and then you just click on export as an STL 3D model, and that will pop up in your downloads on your computer. I've already done that, so let me now get out of this and I will show you how quickly it uploads from your downloads. Okay, so here in my downloads, I have my two files. I did two. I did one of Mount St. Helens and I did one of Mount Rainier. And it downloads it as a Vectric file already because I have Vectric on my computer. And so I simply click on this file and it opens Vectric automatically and it's ready to go right from there. So as you'll see, it pulls it up and it starts to ask you the settings that you want for your project. And this is where it's a little bit, you have to guess at first, and then you can always go back and change this. And the reason being is you're not going to know exactly the thickness that you're going to need for your piece until you do the next step. So you're going to have to kind of go back and forth. It's what I did. And I just happened to know that this one for me was 13 by 13 and my block of wood was 5 inches thick. And again, my machine is modified so I can work with a block of wood that thick. So just something to note there. So now here you'll see the model, and it's way bigger than the block of wood that we have, which is in the center here. So we're going to leave the XYZ ratio locked together, and just under X I will put 13 inches because that is what my my block of wood is, and I will click apply to that, and then I'm going to center the model in the block of wood, and as you can see, it's already put it in there. Okay, the red box is my block of wood, and you can see the model inside of it. So now we're going to position and import it. So by going there, I go here, and as you can tell, it looks like it's pretty well inside the block there. I'm just trying to make sure the peak, yep, it's just under the block of wood, as you can see here. So that looks really good. So I will just click import. And there it is. It's already in the software and it is ready to go. So now I'm going to go to the 2D view. I'll select it and head over to the toolpaths. And again, very, very simple. You just click on material setup. My thickness of my material is 5 inches. Again, I'm working off of the material surface, the front left corner. And I'm going to leave a very tiny gap at the top of 0.09. This way I have about 3/4 of an inch below the model. And yep, all the rest of this looks good. So I'm going to click OK. And now that we have the material set, we can go back in and start our toolpath. So we're going to start with the roughing toolpath. And I have this already set up. And I'll be using a 3-flute 1/4 inch diameter, 3-flute upcut end mill. And so I'll just show you the settings quick on that. I'm using a 42% step over, 18,000 RPM at 140 inches a minute and a plunge rate of 130 inches a minute. And all right, so I'm going to just say okay to that. For the piece, I'll be using the model boundary. As you see here, I've selected that. No offset, and I will be 3D rastering it at a 45-degree angle for this particular roughing pass. Oh, another thing to, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this is a major time saver right here, the avoid machined area. You're going to want to click this. And especially in a case like this particular carving, when you click this, I saved 2 hours on my roughing strategy. And basically what it does is it avoids any area that it's already machined, so it won't pass over it. And when you're working, let's say, as you'll see in a second, it'll save a lot of time by not having to go up and down over an area that has already been machined. And it's a big time saver. So that is something to look at. And again, it's for the roughing strategy. So here it is. I have it. This is a really long toolpath. It's saying that it's going to take, it says 4 hours and 48 minutes, but in actuality on the machine, mine took 3 hours to actually carve. So the timing is a little off in Vectric. It's not quite accurate. It might have been, I think it was, around three hours, maybe just slightly over that. So this will take a long time. I'm just going to show you the beginning of it here. And the reason I want to show it to you is that I'm going to explain that little feature where it avoids the machined area. And you'll see why it saves so much time. The original toolpath that I had run without using that little tab of avoiding the machine area, the roughing toolpath was just over 7 hours. And so, again, it saved 2 hours. Because basically as it passes through here, it won't pass over this part anymore. It'll just do this side, and then it'll jump back over to here and go and do that side. I can slow it down just a little bit. Oh, let me get to it, and then you'll be able to see it. See that? So it doesn't pass over the top of it. It just works one side. And then it'll once it gets to here, it'll stop and come back here and hit this side. And so it's a big time saver. See that? And then it catches back up. So it does this for every level. All right, so that's basically that. I don't want to, again, this was a really long toolpath. I'm not going to show the whole thing. Okay, so then once you've got the roughing toolpath, then you'll go over to the 3D finishing toolpath. And I happen to be using my Thihue X. This is a 1/16 tapered ball end mill. And this one's a little bit longer. It's I think it's 2.5 inch or 3 inch overall length. And I'll just go over the settings again on this one. I'm doing a 14% step over on this one, turning it at 18,000 RPM. Again, 140 inches a minute feed rate and a plunge rate of 130. And okay. Same thing, I'm using the model boundary. This one I'm cutting in offset, so it'll start up here in the center and cut in a climb cut all the way around. All right, so that's all good. Believe it or not, the finishing toolpath is about the same amount of time as the roughing toolpath. So this one says that it's 5 hours and 22 minutes. It's not. I did it on mine, and it took 3.5 hours to do the finishing toolpath. So again, the estimated times in Vectric are a little off, but you get the idea. And so I'll just run it a little bit here. Again, it's really long. I don't want to run the entire thing, but you can see, it's even clearing out the area that we hadn't done in the roughing there. This is just a really long toolpath, so I didn't want to bother with it. But okay, so now that you see that, I'm just going to stop this one because again, it takes, I think, about 20 minutes just to generate this toolpath. So that's it. That's all you need for those two. And in case you need to do a surfacing toolpath for your block of wood, again, very simple. Just head back over to the design and just create a rectangle. I already did that before. So I created a 14.5 inch rectangle for mine and center it around your block there. And then you go back over to the toolpaths and use the pocket toolpath to create, your surfacing toolpath here. And again, I just did mine at a 0 start depth down to 20 thousandths of an inch. I'm using my 1.25 inch surfacing end mill. It's got 4 flutes to it with a 40% step over, 16,000 RPM, 130 inches a minute, feed rate at 30 inch per minute plunge rate. And I am roster cutting this from left to right, so a 0 degree roster. And there you go. So now you have a surfacing toolpath that you can use to surface, either individual layers as you're gluing them up beforehand, making the block, or once you have it in place and you want to surface the bottom or the top, you now have a surfacing toolpath for that. Okay, so then from here, you would just go ahead and individually save your toolpaths to your files there, and you're all ready to go. It's really, really simple to do, and you can design one of these in 10 minutes. It's really, really a piece of cake. All right, so now that you've seen it here, let's head over to the machine and have a look at the setup. All right, so now let's go over the setup. So my block is 13 inches square by 5 inches tall, and I just want to mention that, if anyone wanted to try to attempt this, my machine is modified. So I've raised it 3 inches. That's what these spacers are for on the side of the machine, allowing me to have a much higher gantry clearance than a stock machine. So I believe on the stock Shapeoko 5 Pro, I think you only have 4.25, 4.5 inches of gantry clearance, something like that. Mine is about 7. So again, it's a little bit different, and you won't be able to use this thickness. You'd have to work with something that's a little under 4 inches in order to do that. So yeah, and I've also attached this to the table using about 9 pieces of double stick tape. So that's what's holding it in place. It's not going anywhere. And I'll be using a 3 flute roughing end mill. Actually, not a roughing end mill, it's just a 3 flute upcut end mill, and hopefully that will cut through it. no problem. All right, so let's get to the roughing. All right, so here is the carving. The roughing pass is all finished. You can see it has a lot of, rough lines in it, which the finishing pass will then take out. The total height difference from top to the very lowest point in this carve, I believe, is 4.1 inches. So there's a lot of height difference there. So yeah, looking really cool. And all right, let's get on to the finishing pass. Okay, so here it is, right off of the machine, and I've just taken it and gone over it with a steel brush, a stainless steel brush. I don't want to remove too much of the texture on the surface. I want to keep it as, let's say, as rough as possible. Like, you know, going over it with a nylon brush will make the surface burnished and really polished. I don't want that in this case, so I'm leaving it kind of raw, let's call it. And I'll spin it around for you there. This one really came out amazing. I mean, this new software is unbelievable as to how much you can, you know, get, how close you can get in on it, the detail in it. It's really exceptional. Big, big difference from the last carving that I did. All right, so I am ready to add some color to this. I've mixed up a custom stain color that I'm going to use on it, and hopefully, you know, looks pretty cool. And here it is. I applied the base coat of stain to give it the mountain color, you know, for the rocks. And then I also airbrushed the snow effect over the top of it. And this came out really amazing. I love how this one turned out. The detail is incredible. I mean, it's just, you know, really zoomed in. I mean, this really looks like a mountain, which now I will compare it to the one that I did last year, and you will get to see the big difference right here. So this is the old one that I did. You can tell it's very zoomed out and larger area, but the mountains are very small and very, you know, less detail. And again, I had to exaggerate this one to give it that effect, so it's not a realistic scale, let's say, but truly big difference. All right, so as you saw, there's a huge difference between my old carving in the past with the old software and the new carving with the new upgraded software. It is incredibly different. Like I can't imagine. So way back when I made this first carving, I attempted this mountain, again, using this software, and it looked like, an anthill. It was nothing. And I, no matter what I did to exaggerate it, it just didn't look right. And again, looked nothing more than like this. That's basically how it came out, and wasn't impressive. So to make this one alone, I had to exaggerate these mountains just to get them to look like this. Otherwise, they were basically just little bumps on the board. It was really not much to look at. And so now to be able to create something like this, which is really pretty much accurate. I mean, I really did nothing to this other than compare it to a photo to get it to look as realistic as possible. And I mean, the detail on it is amazing. And this is only the 10 meter resolution. So imagine going to 1 meter resolution. Granted, I know the size will be much smaller, but the detail will be incredible. And this to me is enough. I mean, it looks so realistic that really pleased with the way it came out and with this new software. And the reason I went ahead and did this as well, this particular carving of Mount Rainier is a test for a project that I have coming up, which is going to be really big. And so that is going to be again, this was more of like a test to see how it would come out so that I can prepare for that project. Again, it's going to be a couple months out, but it's going to be really big and something really cool. So I'm looking forward to that one. And now that I have this, done, I have the confidence that it's going to come out really cool. All right, so I hope you guys, as usual, learned something from this one. I really enjoyed this one. This one was a lot of fun. And if you did, please be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, I will see you guys on the next one.